Hello everyone, and welcome back to Let's Play the Life and Suffering of Sir Brante, with me, Alpha Omega, and Rudolf Brante. So we're starting at an unusual place, at the end of Debacle in the Shop, part of Chapter 4, because I have been quite torn about this decision and I wasn't sure how to end the previous episode. Quite honestly, both of the choices here seems awful. We have the debacle in the shop where a dickish, that's certainly the best, I would use worse words if I could, but dickish noble has came, started stealing in a shop, burned the place down, and then tripped and fell and died. And he sort of decided to take the common folks that he was trying to rob to the court and have them burned at the stake. Now, this is horrifying in itself because two of the options that we are left with here is either punishing the sort of innocent, defenseless commoners that will pay with their lives for the guy coming and trying to rob them, or acquitting them, but most likely losing our position as a judge, angering our patron or superior, and causing an uproar. So I thought about this for a long time, and we are going to punish the Steiners. In the end, even though I don't want to do this only for the sake of my career, I will do it because our superior told us to. He is right in one thing, and that is that changes need to happen gradually, and having such a huge thing happen at once would cause or could cause the entire process to revert and the commoners to lose their rights. And even though these people will pay with their lives for it, this is the only thing that we can do now to stabilize the system and make sure that we are not set back decades. So unfortunately we are going to punish the Steiners. As much as I hate that, and I cannot stress that, I hate that, but yeah, we just cannot take the hit. Our career is too vulnerable, and even Elborn has told us to do this. Curtly and unemotionally you deliver your verdict. The very same verdict the majority of people in the courtroom were expecting. Elverger's demand will be satisfied. The Steiners committed the murder of a nobleman. Their guilt is undeniable. Whether Elverger attacked them or not is of no consequence. A commoner may not raise his hand against the nobleman. The three of them will be hanged this very day. And Steiner. We've never expected anything good from the upper class before, so why start now? I've heard plenty of talk about your justice, but nothing's really changed. Shame on you, Judge. The trial is over. The old woman and her grandchildren are taken away to be prepared for the execution. Elverger lifts his hat politely and leaves. On your way out, you meet Elborn. The prefect follows you with a look of understanding. -2. You spend the rest of the day pacing your office mindlessly. This trying day is finally at an end. Well, we got diplomacy +1 and +5 willpower at least. But they paid with their lives. What can you do? Friend of the people. This event is a consequence of your previous action. Remy L. Verman made a deal. Friend of the people. Another day of work at the prefecture is winding down. Wow, I'm shook to my core by the previous chapter. Poor people. After hours of paperwork, your fingers are cramped, your vision blurred. Today you must finish incorporating the new decrees of the Great Imperial Council into the modern Code of Law. The document will then be sent to the overseer. A knock at the door distracts you. Your visitor is someone you were not expecting to see. Mayor Egmond enters your office. He is the wealthiest man in Magra, the owner of the silver mines, and the leader of the wealthy commoners' party in the Lesser Quorum. He wears high-priced frock coat made of light grey fabric. He wears no jewelry, but his coat is richly embroidered, the most luxury a commoner can ever afford. Egmond offers you a broad, sun-tanned hand. Oh, sun-tanned hand. I thought that was suntanned look. Well, why would he offer me a broad look? Egmond offers you a broad, sun-tanned hand. It is hard work, weary, and eternally calloused. This is a man who has earned his fortune with the sweat of his brow. Mayor Egmond. Good afternoon, Judge Brante. We met recently about the newspaper business, but today I need to discuss a different matter with you. I came to talk to you on behalf of the manufacturers of Magra. As you know, the principal source of income in the province is the silver mines. Our mines provide silver for the sacramental rites conducted in the temples all over the empire. But the upper vein of ore is nearly exhausted. We need to process new deposits that are lower down. That's where our trouble with the law comes into play. In order to get to the deeper layers of ore, we need gunpowder, but a decree from the Great Imperial Council has forbidden common people from using it. Back in the capital, they're afraid we'll turn that gunpowder into a weapon. But this restriction will harm not only the manufacturers and the miners, but the province as a whole. The silver trade will decline, we won't have enough money to buy grain, and soon even the nobility will be impoverished. I know that you, the judges of the prefecture, are the ones who interpret the decrees from the capital, so I implore you, Sir Brante, to come to the aid of the honest tradesmen of Magra. Pass an amendment allowing to use the gunpowder in the silver mines. You give Edmond a speculative glance and ask him why he has asked you specifically for help. Mayor Egmond, I've been following your decisions for quite some time, Your Honor. They give me hope. I don't agree with you on everything, but we seem to see eye to eye on the essentials. The common estate needs to get real rights. It's the only way our province and for the empire as a whole. Sure, Prefect Arbon has proclaimed as much himself, but unfortunately he's a nobleman of the sword first and foremost. He's bound by the blood tide, by the power of the Overseer and the Arcanians, so all his undertakings are doomed to failure. If you, Sir Brante, truly care for the people, you will need some powerful allies among the lowborn, allies like me. Do this for me and together we'll change the fate of Magra. Egmont extends his hand, hope in his eyes. You take your time before answering, weighing his words carefully. You pass an amendment allowing the use of gunpowder in the mines. You refuse Egmont. The imperial decree will be implemented as is. Well, damn. Do we want this? I mean, he might be right, but I don't know how I can pass something like this. Do this and together we'll change the fate of Magra. You pass an amendment using the gunpowder in the mines. I guess I agree. You take his hand. Egmont gives you a strong handshake. You tell him that you share his apprehension and understand that silver is crucial to the province. You promise to amend the law so that the restrictions do not apply to silver mines. Thank you, Rudolf Brante. Nobles who care about the needs of the common folk are few and far between. This is what nobility really means. I share your belief that only a union of the estates will lead the empire to order and prosperity. You can count on my support. Silver is the lifeblood of Magra. Today, you have not only saved us all from ruin, you've also made every Magran a little bit richer, yourself included. I'll make sure the Brantes get a share of the profits. And I promise you, Brante, this gunpowder will shatter those ancient rock formations and reveal their hidden treasure to us all. Oh god, that doesn't sound so well. Okay, but wealth of Magra plus 2. Okay, plus 2 justice. Okay, plus wealth. Okay, that had no bad repercussions. I'll take that. Cool. A deal with Egmond. Egmond made a deal with you. You're helping him to legitimize the use of gunpowder in the mines. And, plus 2 for justice. So I guess that's all cool. Year 1141. The Guns of Illyria. Magra has received alarming news from the neighboring province of Illyria. The lowborn convicts toiling in the Illyrian mines have revolted against their noble masters. And we allowed them to use gunpowder. Great! For the first time in many long, peaceful years, commoners have taken up arms. Worse yet, the insurgents had guns and gunpowder, and no one knows how they got them. God damn! Gunpowder weapons were banned throughout the Empire as soon as they were invented. The lords deemed firearms dishonorable and unfit for the nobles. Even Legion soldiers are forbidden from using them. But now gunshots were echoing through the mutinous Illyrian mines. The Imperial Legion was deployed to quell the riot. The Legionnaires slaughtered the rebels without mercy, and the uprising choked to death on its own blood before it had even begun. The south of Illyria is now a forest of gallows. The convicts' corpses were left swaying in the wind as a warning to any commoner who might dare to take up arms. Although the rebellion quickly succumbed to the imperial military onslaught, many Legion soldiers and officers were slain by the insurgents' firearms. Their steel armor was no match for bullets. The riotous weapons were destroyed in a public ceremony, but no one knows who built or smuggled them into the mines. All imperial overseers soon issued public reminders to their provinces. The punishment for owning a gunpowder weapon is true death by execution. But the Empire is still restless, still anxious. Somehow guns found their way into commoners' hands, if only for a short time. Could gunpowder and lead one day endanger the old ways of the Empire? I wonder if we would get to this event even if we would refuse to help Egmond. Authorities of Magra fear that unrest may soon spill over here. Due to the double tax, peasant farms and industrial manufacturers are facing harsh times. The province's wealth is steadily declining, but the discontent of the commoners is still held back by the eternal lot that demands they accept their suffering. Okay. A friend in need. You arrive at the office one fine morning and find a visitor already sitting there. The visitor is none other than Thomas Guerrero. His heavy uniform already bears a captain's chevrons. Thomas looks nervous, his fingers drumming a foreboding staccato on the desk. Why has your old friend decided to pay you a visit? I don't like this. Friends are the worst clients. You pat your friend on the shoulder and congratulate him on a promotion. Thomas shrugs, quietly brimming with pride. Also, I'm kind of surprised that our relation with our dear Octavia, where is she? Oh, here is she, my beautiful lady, has not come up until now. That's weird. I got bumped up a month ago. Apparently the Legion is running short on decent officers. And then I realized why there are so few of them. Wish I knew my direct superior was gonna be our very own Commander Auten. Thomas grows grim at the mention of Auten. Listen, buddy, you and me, we always help each other, right? The Arcanian bastard, well, he challenged me to a duel. For the second time, he cut me down a month ago. That was my second lesser death. I know I never told you, but it was tough. The gods, they spoke to me there in the hereafter. But right now I got something worse to worry about than matters of the soul. See, Auten, he remembers me from the time at the academy, well, when I stood up to him at the party. Now he's gonna kill me again and again until my true death comes. So it's a duel. That's Auten's way of having fun with his subordinates. Rudolf, I'm asking you as a friend, will you be my second at the duel? I know Prefect Elborn doesn't like any kind of sword fighting. It's the one of the old traditions he wants to put a stop to, but if I show up without a second, he won't just kill me for a third time, he'll dishonor me too. You knit your brow in thought. In the prefect's opinion, dueling is a lawless tool of noble tyranny. Elborn sees duels as an outmoded way of circumventing the legal system. He would be crushed to learn that one of his judges had been involved in a duel. Thomas sighs heavily. I know this is hard, pal, but I've got no one else to turn to. All the boys in the Legion fear Otton like the plague. You're the only noble who can support me in this. But I know this duel won't be the end. Our great Sir Otton will find an excuse for a third duel before you know it. That'll be my last one for sure. Thomas rolls up the sleeves of his uniform. 2 pitch black lines encircle his forearm. He is desperate, and it is easy to see why. 1-on-1 against an Arcanian swordsman, he is doomed. The law forbids dueling. But if you refuse to show Thomas your support through your presence, your friend's spirit will be broken before his body can even be killed. You recall the previous encounters with Otton in your youth. Is there a chance the distinguished Arcanian still remembers you? If you go to him and speak in Thomas's defense, will he even bother to listen? You cannot possibly leave Thomas in need. Since you have Doris Otton's favor, you can prevent the duel and save your friend. Oh! Stop the duel from taking a place. Okay, let's try that. We will save our friend. You have been best friend with Thomas ever since you were little boys. Does he really think you would abandon him to such a cruel fate? Dueling Otton is a suicide, but there is a much better way to emerge from this predicament. You tell Thomas you will meet with Otton and make a deal with him. He will be safe from Otton's harassment. Thomas slowly shakes his head, unconvinced. Thomas, I'm happy you're willing to help, buddy, but Otton, he isn't going to listen. Even Arcanian says he's a loose cannon. You're just another human to him. You're not even a noble of this sort. You tell him Otton will surely remember you, especially since you got his attention on several occasions. Back at the party in Eterna, Otton deigned to hear you out when Thomas first attracted his ire. Surely you can do it again. You can try it, Brante, but I'm gonna prepare for the worst anyway. If Otton wants me dead, he's gonna have me dead sooner or later. Either way, thank you for being on my side. Before you leave to seek an audience with the commander, you ask Thomas for more information. What was Otton's excuse for challenging him into a duel this time? Thomas, here's what happened. Otton told me to head to a nearby village with a squad of Legion soldiers, Sulmina it's called. The villagers refused to pay the Archduke's tax, said they already paid the tax to Gaius Tempest's men. He's the overseer, so the law says the tax is his. So Otton told me and the lads to string up a couple of the rowdiest peasants and put their houses to the torch to teach the rest of them a lesson. So we went there, and let me tell you, buddy, I didn't join the Legion to start hanging people and burning villages, so we decided to have a word with the village elder first. The locals soon realized what was going on. Losing money is one thing, but losing a spare life is worse. They hemmed and hawed, and finally found enough cash to pay Archduke Melanides. Which means we came back to Anisot with nobody dead and all the money for the treasury. But then the commander summons me and claims I didn't follow his orders, which means I also slighted the honor of the noble Arcanian who's my commander, so he challenged me to a duel. And you know what? I'm not the first Brante, and I'm not the last. Any officer in the Legion could end up like me. Otton does as he sees fit, with no plans to stop. He's a commander, he's a noble of the sword, he's an Arcanian. We're just dirt under his boot. Who's gonna rein him in? I will. I remember that there's a way to actually make him punished by the law. I'm not sure if we're on our way to do that, but we will do our best. His story over, Thomas leaves your office. Wasting no time, you head to the Magra Armory, the headquarters of the province's high command. You approach the ancient barracks built of ruddy red stone. Between those walls and the outside world stands a tall fence. The same fence encircles the field nearby. Ever since the old days of the Arcanian Republic, this has been the training ground for the armed militia. It does not take you long to find Otton. He's in a square in front of the armory, inspecting the uniforms of lined-up Legion troops, looking intently for faults. Captain, if I notice that even one of your 100 troops is not in compliance with the uniform code, I will take it as a personal insult. You don't wish to insult my honor, do you, Captain? The Legion captain in question stands before him. He promises to do his best, his voice shaking. Satisfied, Otton takes a seat and begins reading an essay on military strategy. You seize this opportune moment to approach the commander, tactfully draw his attention, and introduce yourself. Dorius Otton. Brante? Oh yes! Aren't you the same young man my old servant girl Sophia got mixed up with? I wonder what happened to that little tart. So you grew up to become a prefecture judge, I see. Not much of a step up from a commoner, but I will grant you a bit of my time. What brings you here? What a lovely guy. You explain. You are here to petition for Captain Thomas Guerra. He will never reject a duel when his honor is on the line, but Sir Otton must surely realize that the duel will not be an even one. Would the esteemed High Commander of Magra be kind enough to choose a different officer for his exercise? Surely a swordmaster such as the esteemed Sir Otton can find no shortage of clumsy, low-born soldiers to duel. Dorius Otton. You think I don't know what I want, Brante? You think I can decide for myself? That son of a whore Guerra had the nerve to disobey my orders. He insulted me, and I will not allow such a stain upon the honor of my family. You think your pitiful excuses will change this? You humbly ask the commander to show mercy to a man who was but a commoner a few years before. Dorius Otton. Show mercy, you say? Well then, I agree, but only on one condition. He must quit my region immediately. I will strip him of his captain's rank and pay, and then he will leave and never show himself again, or that will be his final insult. If your pitiful friend is willing to throw away a noble title and end his days in poverty, then I have no desire to find him. No Arctian would ever duel such woeful filth. Tell him to bring me his letter of resignation in person. Remember this, I granted you my time only because of the pleasant memories of my Sophia. Did he rape her? I'm really not sure what the hell happened there, but this is so creepy. Do not expect me to hear your groveling again in the future. You and your family ought to consider whether scum such as Guerrero is worth your trouble. It's time to break the news to Thomas. He looks very conflicted when he learns of the deal you have struck with Otton. Really? Otton agreed to let me leave the Legion. I can't believe he even bothered to hear you out. Does that mean I'm finally free from his harassment? Thank you, my friend. You've saved me from true death. But if I leave the Legion, what will I do then? That's the most humiliating thing there is. All the work I put into joining the military would be wasted. I'd have no job, no pay, and I'd never be a nobleman again. Well, but you'd be alive. I have to think about this. But one way or another, you've bought me some time, and I still have 2 lives left. All thanks to you, buddy. In hiding. Okay. The case against Otton. Interesting. Okay, let's leave that for the next episode. This one is already long enough. So thank you for joining me, and I'll see you in the next one. But I'm really looking forward to this one. The case against Otton. Sounds promising.